the great mystery between Christ and his church, and then, of course, the family. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33, the Apostle Paul says, "Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself. And wife, see that she reverence her husband." And, of course, all this speaks of family and the beauty that family is, children, and everything that God honors. Because I've said this so many times, a family is the integral part of a nation. Is it the integral part of a church? A church is as strong as the families are strong. And so when you consider all of this, and you see how the Apostle Paul links Christ and his work of salvation for all of humanity, and he uses that pattern to demonstrate the man as the head of the family and the provider. Now, I say that, and all of a sudden I've got people all over my case about, well, the man's not the only breadwinner in the family these days, and I know that. That's the way it is in my family. My wife has had to work along the way. That's the economy we live in. But still, God has given responsibilities to the man to be the spiritual head of the family. Now, what happens so many times is that you talk to a lot of men in the church. And yes, they go off and they go to work and they bring money home to help supply for the family. But when you ask them to take spiritual leadership, it's just absent. And you say, well, Dad, do you pray with the family before the meals? Dad, do you help them with their Bible study and make sure that they have prayer? Make sure they're at church? Do you go to church with them, or do you send them to church? You see, this is the thing that is absolutely essential for a country to be great, and for a church to be great. It's when the men take on the role that God gave them as being the spiritual leaders of the family. But as I've said, so often that's just not happening among the men, Christian men. And you say, Pastor King, why is that? And I quite frankly, I can't tell you why. Maybe it's just that they haven't been taught. But I do know this. A lot of times I hear this, people say, well, I'm just not spiritual. I mean, I can't do that. I mean, I'm just this person, and I don't have any spiritual authority or anything like that. And I say to you, yes, you are. If you are a person who's accepted Christ in his provision of forgiveness of your sin, he died on the cross for your sin, then you are a person who has the ability to talk to God, because you are spiritual. God is spiritual. God has cleansed you, forgiven you of your sins, and if there's still areas in your life that need to be improving, God will help. And there's always confession. And when you confess your sins, God forgives them. And yes, you can be the spiritual head of your house. And as a preacher of the gospel, I'm just telling you that you need to be. It's Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.